again?
Abdul-Lateef Ismail, so
Okay.
ABDULLATEEFISMAIL.
Yeah, everybody check him out, Abdul-Lateef Ismail. I don't know where he is online. Please find him.
Not really, not a lot of nutrients there. The water, not a lot of water holding capacity. There's quite exposed to the wind, exposed to the sun. There's salt spray. So a lot of the species here, they've made it their niche. So there's no competition because they specifically adapted to this. And this is one of those plants, this grey bush just popping out here from amongst the daisies. It's called Bassia diffusa, or Quinolia diffusa, and they've actually done some studies on this at Swartkops, at the estuary there, and they've noted that its ability to tolerate high salinity levels is quite exceptional. So that ability means that it can grow here and it can proliferate here because it does not have that competition of other plants. So if this had to be, for example, hypothetically transported somewhere inland where the conditions are easy to grow, it's going to be outcompeted quite easily. So this is part of its niche, and that's always an interesting thing to look at when finding interesting plants. What areas are sort of tough for a plant to grow, and that leads to different niches and endemism as well.
You said it'll struggle to grow inland.
It will be outcompeted.
But why? Isn't it used to like harsher conditions so it'll flourish in easier conditions?
Yes, but the other plants are also used to those conditions and can tolerate it a lot better. So like this plant being one of the only that can tolerate over here, it can come out and avoid all that other competition and survive there. You see a lot of succulents on like rocky outcrops. Like the succulents may be able to grow on like deeper soil, but they'll be shaded out so quickly because everything else can grow so faster. But on the rocky outcrops, it's so shallow soils, nothing else can grow, and that's its opportunity. That's where it makes its niche. Well, we can go on towards those rocks. There's a nice stand of rooikraans there, but there are some of those succulents up on those rocks, and it's just, yeah, that's why whenever I'm looking for interesting plants, just look for a rocky outcrop or just any difference in the habitat, then there's something that's making its niche in that area.
Invasive.
Invasive. This is one of those plants that Australia gave us. It gave us 17 species, I think, something it's over like 10 species of acacia that's invasive. And this is the one that destroys the coast.
Brilliant firewood.
Yeah, good for something. Good for something at least. So this is an invasive plant. So not only exotic, it's actually invasive. It's, in South Africa, I think it's a plant that can destroy ecosystem the worst. So this is a rooikraans. red-eye wattle, I think is the English name, and the Latin name is Acacia cyclops. So it is a member of the Fabaceae. It is related to the acacias that we know, the thorn trees, the same family. But it was introduced here into the South Africa's coast to stabilize dunes a long time ago. So in the 19th century, where the natural movement of the dunes, such as the Noordhoek dune system and the Driftsand dune system, was jeopardizing development at the harbor. And the people there had to find a way to stop this, so they threw rubbish on the moving dunes, and they also planted things like Acacia cyclops. They planted Port Jackson and also eucalyptus. Unfortunately, they didn't know the consequences of that at that time, and right now it's taken a lot of our coastal fynbos thicket habitat. So we can see as you drive into Marine Drive, this is what you mostly see actually, this big Acacia cyclops. And what it does is increase the fuel load for fires exceptionally. So when fynbos burns, it burns at a certain temperature depending on how much fuel there is. And this, because it's so much more just biological matter, it burns a lot hotter. And so it kills the seed bank, it kills any thicket material underneath that cannot be sprouted, and it turns what's normally a beautiful coastal thicket mosaic like what we see at the back there into almost a desert. So there's an area in Cape Recife opposite the Nelson Mandela University Nature Reserve which has quite a lot of rooibos, some growing as high as 5 meters. And that area burned, well, a portion of it burned a few years ago. And if you walk there to this day, nothing else has returned, because this has come into that ecosystem and just destroyed everything. So removing this is a little bit easier than other acacias, thankfully. They do not resprout, so you just need something to lop it off or saw it down, and so that's that, or pull it out. Some other acacias like Port Jackson, you have to apply poison, and that's often quite messy. But the extent of Acacia cyclops in the ski region is, it's worse than some of the other acacias. So I know the Wessa group, they're quite busy at Cape, I think it's at Sardinia Bay, trying to remove all of these acacias from that area. And even though they go there, I think it's once every month or once every 2 months, it's still a fraction that they're clearing. It's just how extensive this plant has damaged this ecosystem. Like you can see from this little patch over here, how homogeneous it is. This is what, about 80% cover of Acacia cyclops in this area alone. And it also just shades out other plants. Like fynbos's light shade tolerance isn't too high, so the ecosystem suffers from it. And a lot of our biodiversity has been lost from invasive species like this. But it makes good firewood as well. So. And this is one of the Australian species that I spoke about earlier that they gave us. So at least we got one back with the Osteospermum. So there's just a short pathway up here that I did see some interesting smaller plants and interesting succulents. I think you guys should just be a little bit careful. It's not too difficult, but maybe a little bit careful, because I did come up here alone, so maybe like we'll try and keep a single file. But I'll see if we can get to that region there by the fence.
Check this one's flower.
Oh, this smells so
They look very similar. There's one.
These ones you can eat, they make like flowers. You can eat them.
Go for it.
No, not that, you eat the flower.
Oh, I was about to, man.
So I was going to show you guys two plants that you can smell. That smells really interesting. It's only going to be one plant because I thought this was a garlic cuckoo at first, but it's not. It's a Finica. I think it's Finica Ericoides. I don't know which. I really thought it was a garlic cuckoo. I hope we see one later on because they have a very pungent smell. There's a lot of teas being made from cuckoo as well, and we have a fair amount of diversity. This plant behind me over here, you can smell, however. This is a pelargonium, so it's called, common name is geranium, even though geranium is the name of another plant.
To be continued.